Hello everybody, and welcome to the 16th BrettCast episode. The sort of podcast where I take all of my individual segments and jam them into one longer form video that releases a few times a month. Kicking things off this episode is going to be a double dash of what's new with. In the first part, I'm going to give my thoughts on the first reveals we have for Transformers Legacy United. In the second part, I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the first wave of LEGO Animal Crossing sets. Then the episode will round out with a triple takeover for gaming talk. In the first part, I'm going to discuss and give my thoughts on Divinity Original Sin 2. In the second part, I'm going to discuss and give my thoughts on Warhammer 40k Space Marine. And the third and final part is where I'm going to discuss and give my thoughts on Sonic and SEGA All-Stars Racing. With that out of the way, let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to the first part of the What's New With segment. So we've finally gotten the reveals of the first figures for the upcoming Transformers Legacy United subline, and now I'm going to give my opinion on them. I decided to skip the core class stuff because I don't care about core class all that much. Let's get into it. I'm going to start things off with the Deluxe class Cyberverse Universe Windblade. Yeah, I'm all for this. The only Windblade I have is the Thrilling 31, and that one is okay, to say the least. Yes, I know that this is from Cyberverse, but it looks good in both modes. Windblade here has a release of January 2024 with a price of $25.99. From there we have the Deluxe Class Animated Universe Bumblebee. Now, I do like the robot mode here quite a bit, however, not really into the vehicle mode because it looks like it's all just too squished. And this random side stripe that doesn't go anywhere, just a little bit weird to me. Bumblebee has a release of January 2024 with a price of $25.99. After that is the Deluxe Class Rescue Bots Universe Chase. Now, this is what I'm talking about. I mean, I've never watched Rescue Bots, but this is exactly what I was talking about in one of my previous episodes. Yes, this one looks great in both modes, especially the vehicle mode looks really cool. Kind of like a Challenger. I don't know cars that well. I know I'm definitely going to try to get this one. Chase has a release of January 2024 with a price of $25.99. Next up is the Deluxe Class Infernic Universe Magnius. Now, I had to look this one up because I had no idea what the heck this is from. Apparently it's from the subterranean realm of Meltar, which is apparently from a TV show called The Inhumanoids, which I've never heard of until this figure. Anyway, I can appreciate and also like what they're going for here with this bot. My biggest thing though with this is that they just made a bland gray robot, and that kind of is boring. You named them Magnius. Why not put some orange lava crackles all over the place? Honestly, the lack of paint here is just really sad, but oh well. Magnius here has a release of January 2024 with the price of $25.99. From there is the Voyager class Prime Universe Thundertron. I really like this figure. I love the blue, the white, and the coppers. I love the alternate mode because it reminds me of a Zoid, and I just love how it looks. The robot mode is really cool too. Honestly, it's so cool that we're getting a figure that is actually from the Transformers Prime video game, since Thundertron never appeared in the show itself. Definitely gonna get this one. Thundertron has a release of January 2024 with a price of $35.99. Then we have the Voyager class Animated Universe Optimus Prime. I really do not like the way this one looks at all. The chest is way too big and chunky. Same with the arms too. I don't like how much the wheels stick out from the legs, as I think they could have been brought inward, especially if you're going to have all four wheels on the legs. In terms of the vehicle mode, I don't like how the front wheels are covered, and I don't like how the feet sit in the vehicle mode. Prime has a release of January 2024 with a price of $35.99. Next up is the Leader Class G2 Universe Laser Prime. Look, I have no idea why they're opting to re-release this figure, especially when the original one from Legacy is still available from most online retailers. You could literally go to BBTS and get it for its regular price here. There is literally no difference between this one and the one that's already available, so again, why re-release this? You could have filled this Leader Class slot with something far more interesting. Laser Prime has a release January 2024 with a price of $55.99. Lastly, there is the Leader Class Beast Wars Universe Tigerhawk. Yeah, given that I'm not into Beast Wars, this does nothing for me. The beast mode looks really weird to me with the tiny back legs, the huge wings, and big guns on top. Like, I don't know, it just looks really weird to me. Tigerhawk has a release of January 2024 with a price of $55.99. Lots of interesting stuff going on here, considering that this whole wave is going to be, well, the whole line of United is going to be non-G1 apparently, so and I just want to add in that sense that I am only talking here about the stuff that Hasbro has officially revealed and not the leaks of all of Legacy United, because I don't deal in leaks. With that, let's go. That's going to end the first part here. Welcome to the second part of the What's New With segment. We finally have the full reveal of what I am assuming is the first wave of LEGO Animal Crossing sets, and so I want to give my opinion on them. Let's get into it. First up is set number 77046, titled Julian's Birthday Party. This is a small set coming in at 170 pieces with one minifigure of Julian. It's a cute little set, I say. Not a lot going on here. Everything that one would need for a birthday party and a tree. It looks nice though, and I really like the minifigure of Julian, but he is one of my favorite Animal Crossing characters, so it's a bonus for me. This set has a release of March 1st, 2024 with a price of $14.99. Next up is set number 77047, titled Bunny's Outdoor Activities. This is another small set coming in at 130 pieces with a single minifigure of Bunny. Let's see here. There's a cherry tree, a tent, a campfire, two little areas of land separated by water. I do wish that the water was like a clear blue, kind of like it is in the LEGO Minecraft sets, but it's not that big of a deal. You can get some tools, but that's really it. Minifigure of Bunny looks pretty good, and well, that's kind of it. Set has a release date of March 1st, 2024 with a price of $19.99. After that is set number 77048, titled Captain's Island Boat Tour. This is probably, I would say, a medium-sized set coming in at 195 pieces with two minifigures, one of Marshall and one of Cap'n. I see some beach chairs, something that resembles a burger, some fish in the water, a fishing pole and some coconut trees, and like a little bit of water at the edges. Honestly, again, clear blue would have been better, and also more water would have been good too. It's a boat tour, and Captain's just floating out in the white void of the picture. This set has a release date of March 1st, 2024, with a price of $29.99. Next up is set number 77049, titled Isabel's House Visit. This is a medium-sized set coming in at 389 pieces, with two minifigures, one of Isabel and one of Fauna. Two minifigures look nice. The apple tree and the workbench look nice as well. I wish that there was more to the inside of the house, though. I mean, the inside of the house is so cramped that there's no room for Isabel to be standing there. Heck, Fauna can't really get from the bed to the door when you think about it, because there's so much stuff on the floor. I feel like the point of the set is the house, but they just made it so small. This set has a release of March 1st, 2024 with a price of $39.99. Lastly, we have set number 77050, titled Nook's Cranny and Rosie's House. So this is a large set, the largest one we have so far, coming in at 535 pieces and 2 minifigures, one of Tom Nook and one of Rosie. Rosie is another favorite of mine, and the minifigure looks good, as does Tom Nook. But again, what gets me with this one is the lack of everything with the buildings. There's no space inside Nook's Cranny, when that shop is a very decent size in-game. Rosie's house is also pathetic too, and is so jammed full of stuff. How would anyone walk around in it? Again, the house and the shop are the focus of the set, and they skimp on the interiors. The price is also something I take issue with for this set. You really expect me to believe that a pathetic set like this, with just over 500 pieces, is worth $75? There's no way in hell that this set is worth $75. And I don't want to hear that licensing costs is probably why. Because it's not, okay? I could see $50 for this set at most, not $75. Set releases March 1st, 2024 with a price of $74.99. Before I close the segment, there is something I want to say about all these sets. I noticed that a lot of these sets, especially the smaller ones, are just on these like round green and or sand colored plate pieces. Now what I want to know is, are these pieces like connected underneath? Are these sections just free floating? Because I would find that annoying for the sets on their own. Like, I don't want to have to go out of my way to buy like a base plate just to have something to stick the sets on because they're free floating. I really do hope that the plate pieces are connected underneath, because I could probably see myself getting all of these except for the $75 set, maybe even the other house set. I don't know yet. But that's going to do it for the What's New With segment. Hello, and welcome to part 1 of the Gaming Talk segment. In this first part, I'm going to be discussing and giving my thoughts on the game Divinity Original Sin 2. Let's get into it. Now, I honestly really only wanted to give this game a shot because it is made by the same developers as Baldur's Gate 3, which at the time of recording this is still getting tons of praise for how amazing it is. Plus, Original Sin 2 was on sale for pretty cheap, so it was a good time to pick it up. I thought that ultimately seeing that if I liked this game would give me insight to whether or not Baldur's Gate 3 would be a game I would like. First thing first though is character customization, because that is like the first thing on the game's Steam page that is touted for being really amazing and good. Oddly enough, I didn't see anything that I found to be particularly amazing in that regard. They have these sort of pre-made characters you can play as, but beyond that, it's more of just mixing and matching with different aspects of the pre-made characters. Like, you could make an undead dwarf. I didn't find it to be amazing, which is sad because the character customization gets really hyped up in this game. However, my biggest issue with the game is how I spent too much of my time in the game wondering where exactly it is I'm supposed to be going and what exactly it is I'm supposed to be doing. It only makes things worse too when the quest journal is an absolute unhelpful mess that I can't even begin to understand. The journal just adds to my constant confusion because it gets to a point where I've got 12 quests at the same time, but on the map I see like 4 of them, and that's if I'm lucky. Personally, I find that when it comes to the map, it's good for marking locations that I've been to, but not much else. And again, just adds to me getting lost and confused even more. I do understand that exploration is just as much a part of any RPG game as any mechanic is, but I prefer to get all quests done, like main quests done, and then go back and explore and do all of that. And I can't really do that in Original Sin 2 because managing your quests and side quests is basically impossible because the quest log sucks and is confusing. I mean, just getting out of the first city was difficult because there was little indication of how to actually get out, who I had to talk to, any of that. Only when I did research did I find out about certain people you talk to that aid you in getting out. Why couldn't something in game have told me this? Oh, is there anything about the game I like? I mean, basic stuff, you know, it looks good, it plays good, good music, character interactions are alright, nothing all that amazing though. I feel like I had more interesting and funny character interactions in a game like The Outer Worlds, and that's saying something because that game is more boring than watching bread go stale. I really hope that Baldur's Gate 3 is nothing like this game, and I still want to play it when it isn't $60 to give it a chance. Divinity Original Sin 2 is an okay game, in my opinion, and I'd really only recommend it if you actually like getting lost, like literally lost in a game. And that's going to do it for the first part of the Gaming Talk segment. Hello, and welcome to the second part of the Gaming Talk segment. In this part, I'm going to be discussing and giving my thoughts on the game Warhammer 40k Space Marine. Now, the first thing I want to say and start with is that I played this game with my wired Xbox One controller because I had read that the game plays a little easier with one. But this game has, to me, some odd controls. Like, typically both first and third person shooters have like this standardized control scheme that I and most people have gotten used to. However, this game decides not to use said standard control scheme that most shooter games have. It decides to make the RB button the reload button, X as the melee button, and YB buttons are also incorporated into the melee combat. They left shoot and zoom buttons as they would be in a standard shooter control scheme, but still makes for a rather odd control scheme. Now, props to the game because it does make the player feel like being a Space Marine is awesome. The simplicity of the heavy sounding footsteps and the way that you come crashing down onto the ground from high up elevations, or when you're like, coming down from the jump pack, is just an awesome and powerful feeling. The weapons look and sound really good too, kind of how I'd expect them to sound, if that makes sense. The only thing I would say is that the Boltor does constantly run out of ammo, and it's a little bit annoying, but not the end of the world, I suppose. The big negative thing that I have with this game is the inconsistency within the difficulty. I was playing the game on easy, as I do when I'm playing a new game for the first time, and that's because I prefer getting through the campaign on easier difficulty to have a sense of what to expect before attempting the campaign on any higher difficulty. The issue comes in the form of sections of the campaign that were really easy to just blow my way through without a second thought. And then on the other hand, there are sections of the campaign that are absurdly brutal and overwhelmingly so. These sections where there are just this overwhelming amount of orcs coming at you, and you just have to stand there and like kill as many of them as you can before moving on. I hate those sections. It's like you get these orcs with axes, smaller orcs, the ones that use those heat sword looking things, and then multiple orcs with rocket launchers and grenade launchers, all just raining down fire upon me, and it's too much, and it's overwhelming, and I hate that. I wanted to throw my keyboard, and yeah, I barely made it through those sections. But overall, I did enjoy this game for the most part, but the inconsistency and the difficulty of various sections of the campaign were quite maddening and brought my opinion of the game down quite a lot. Warhammer 40k Space Marine is a good game, but not quite enough for me to recommend it or have an interest in playing its sequel when it comes out. So that's going to do it for the second part of the Gaming Talk segment. Alright, this is the third and final part of the Gaming Talk segment. In this part, I'm going to be discussing and giving my thoughts on Sonic and SEGA All-Stars Racing. Let's get into it. Now, to me, this game tries to be like Mario Kart, and I'm sure I'm not the first person to make that comparison. But I like Mario Kart 7 and 8, and the entire reason I wanted to play this game was to play something similar to Mario Kart, and this game accomplishes exactly that. So, now the thing that this game does, is a sort of... Now, the thing that this game doesn't really do is kart customization, which Mario Kart games do have. I suppose in the sense it's more akin to the likes of Mario Kart DS, as that's the only other Mario Kart game I've played that isn't the two I mentioned. But, you know, in this game you just kind of pick a character and that's it. You know, no adjusting your wheels or your frame or any of that jazz. I mean, all of their karts have their advantages and disadvantages that you can see when you're selecting one, but still. Something I should note is that I am very unfamiliar with pretty much all of the characters in this game, aside from Sonic, because I'm not that much into Sega's franchises aside from Total War. I know of the characters from Sonic, and I have seen the first Sonic live-action movie, but I don't know any of the other characters or the franchises they come from in this game. The racing itself, though, is pretty dang fun, if I do say so myself. I mean, it's kart racing, so it's kind of hard to mess that up. I would hope, anyway. There are various power-ups you get that do things. God, I don't know, man. It's been a while since I played this game. After I completed it, the tracks are not bad in most cases. In some of those cases, though, well, I just hate the tracks that are from the Super Monkey Ball, because the corners are, absurdly sharp to have to turn on, and most of the time, you can't do it, and then you just fly off the track. But those are the only tracks that I personally didn't really like. I guess my biggest problem with this game is it's incredibly short. It took me 2 hours to get through the game. Now, that's not 100% completion getting through the game, because I never do that for any game, because I think it's pointless to go out of my way to do that. No, that's 2 hours to get through all of the Grand Prix races on a single difficulty. Yeah, I could have done those again on higher difficulties, but I don't really do that sort of thing, and it doesn't really interest me. But, yeah, overall, it's a pretty fun kart racing game, and it doesn't really matter if you know the characters and their franchises that are in this game, because you still can have fun. Sonic and SEGA All-Stars Racing is a good and enjoyable game. And now, that's going to bring the Gaming Talk segment to a close. And that's also going to bring this 16th episode to a close. If you have any questions or comments, put them in the comment section below, and I may answer a question or discuss a comment in a future episode. If you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.